So, as I was saying before, uh, we were having technical difficulties.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a cultural issue or if it's a generational issue of like we we work here. We come in, we give our time, but work is not my full identity. Work is not my life. It is my livelihood, but it is not my life. And I don't have to be invested in this work. Like, I don't have to be invested in this work to do this work and do it well. And I think it's, like I said, I don't know if it's a cultural issue or if it's a generational issue. And the reason I say that is because my mom is very much the same. That's why I'm like, is it cultural or is it generational? Because my mom is like, girl, I'm not doing that. Like, not nothing extra. That's not it. It's like, this is not my life.
Okay.
I come in here, I give you my work. This is a fair exchange. This is an even exchange. I am exchanging my labor for a paycheck. So I don't have to do all this extra stuff
Child.
in
Like
order
the
to
elders of
prove my
yesteryear say, F that job.
yeah, and like in order to like prove that I it should be here. No, I don't have to do all that. You hired me, child. I'm doing my job, and then I'm going home, and
And yeah,
I don't have to check my emails before I log on at the workplace or down the hall. You know, I don't have
it's
to
just
do
like
none of that.
that thing of like my work friend that I was talking about before and I were discussing this idea that you got to be at work before 10 to 15 minutes before you actually supposed to be working. And we were like, no,
No.
I'm scheduled to be here at this time. That's the time I'm going to be here. Not no times before that. Now I might be late, but in the event that I will be late, you will know about that.
Yeah. And I might give you a few minutes on the back end to accommodate for that. But like
Hello?
as far as this whole like you have to do all this extra stuff with work.
And this gratefulness that you need to have. I feel
Yeah, like
like that,
gratitude and loyalty and fidelity that you have to put. Girl, bye.
yeah. And I think that that's really impressed upon people of color really heavy, that they should be grateful for
Mm-hmm.
the jobs that they have or like the education that you've gotten, as though like in some instances it might be that it was like a diversity hire or a diversity, like scholarship.
Right.
That's not what they was calling it back when we was coming up, but like
That's affirmative action.
nonetheless.
But we're also like now very, very qualified for the things that we're getting. So it's like,
Hello.
don't be looking at me like I'm some diversity hire.
Please
Cause
don't.
I don't
And
know.
also, like, I think too, like, this is back to like that D&I conversation that we had, or the topics that we were talking about, where you were saying they need to know how to speak to their teammates and employees, but they also need to know how to understand.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's sort of the crux of what I was saying too, is like, yeah, there's cues, there's cultural cues, there are cultural norms that are not covered just by hiring diverse people. Like if you're gonna
Yeah,
hire them, are you gonna make them feel like shit when they're there? Because that's not useful.
that part, or like downplay their experience because they didn't necessarily speak about it in a way that you were looking for.
Or expecting them to, or what have you.
Yeah, like how we experience work and how we relate to the work that we do may not always come across in a way that is someone on TikTok calls it quite.
Yes,
It
exactly.
doesn't always relate to the quite way of doing things. And so
Absolutely.
like it don't mean that it's wrong. That's my thing. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's
Exactly.
just that,
Exactly.
like an example, I have a lot of on the ground experience with nonprofit organizations. Doesn't mean that in terms of high level operations, I'm not going to understand that. That's what my education is in. I just chose to
Right.
do more impactful work, which is working with the people.
Yeah.
you know, um, I think sometimes that gets overlooked. Like
Agreed.
and I think I'll even say this for my working class family members and some of my friends, they feel that their experience is invaluable. And that is just, I hate that, because like I too come from, you know, like a working class environment, and then I went into corporate America. And so it's demeaning and diminishing
Definitely.
to a large population of people to not equate their work experience to their ability to do something else. Like, you can teach people anything. Most people that get jobs have had to go through at least the American education. So that in and of itself indicates that this person can be taught to do X, Y, and Z.
I totally agree. And then the last thing I wanted to just touch on is code switching, which I don't believe in anymore. Um, like, but you know, listen, a lot of things with a lot of times, and this kind of plays into the conversation we've been having up till now, is that people don't realize that the blacks collectively as a whole, we know how to maneuver around the system because we have had to. Um, it's y'all that don't know us. We know y'all. Y'all don't know us. You know? And so, and that goes along with, you know, like the code switching and all of that stuff to try to make a certain group of people more comfortable. And it's like, why do we gotta do that? And frankly, I have decided personally in my life that I don't do that anymore. I don't have a trying to decide if I want to say this. I don't have a nice white lady voice anymore. You know, like
there you go. That's the word. Quite.
I don't have a Karen voice unless I'm calling to like truly. No, I don't have a Karen voice anymore, because if anything, I'll just pull my lawyer card, and everybody falls in line when that comes out. So it's like I don't have that voice anymore. When I'm presenting at work, girl, I'm going to be me. If I'm on the call and I'm like, girl, it is what it is. I'm gonna be professional, of course. Like, I know how to take kind of the hardcore colloquialisms out of my speech, of course. Like, I'm not gonna be up there calling like, girl, I'm not gonna do that, you know, but I'm gonna be myself. And if that means I'm feeling, so my accent comes and goes. If you've been watching here long enough, you probably noticed that. But like, some days I wake up and and it's not like a feeling thing. Like, I don't do it intentionally, but it comes and goes. So it's like, if the accent is Southern that day, then it's coming, girl. If it's like super Southern that day, it's coming, and that's the voice I'm presenting with, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Not doing it anymore. It is what it is. Like, I'm qualified to be here. I don't have to prove myself. I don't have to put on some. I don't have to raise my voice an octave to make everybody else feel safe. My safety is important too, and that wears on my nerves to have to do that.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I'll say that as we're closing up that I've noticed is that our colloquialisms have become mainstream. Everybody feels like they got to say to them.
Not get me started.
And like, there are a lot of things that are specific to Deja. You know, I am the queen of, like, I don't claim Southern, but I sound like a Bama. And so like, there are things that I say on a regular basis that I started to see being said by the white folks. And I was just like,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I wasn't necessarily offended. It was just kind of like, I remember thinking to myself when I realized, because I saw a few of them, and it was things that I say, and I'm like, yeah, you've been working around me too long. But also,
I'll say that too.
You have like, you know what? I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna tell you offline.
But no, I'll say, you know, just in general, not specific to you, but in general, like, that's a part of kind of like the culture now. Tanika B, shout out to Tanika B, is like, culture is the African American, like, that's the American export, and culture in America is largely African American. So it's like, that's the export, you know? So it's like, as a result of that, a lot of the language and stuff is getting co-opted to the point where you're seeing like different news organizations or even like media organizations coming and saying certain things, and you'd be like, not too much on it, girl. And the other thing is like, and I want to acknowledge this as well, is like a lot of it is really gay culture, then especially like
Yes.
black
Black gay culture.
black gay culture that's
LGBT.
getting trickled down
Mm-hmm.
to the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
like calling the girls and the it's giving and you know what I'm saying? Like that's that culture, you know what I'm saying? So, and that stuff is trickling into the mainstream in a way that kind of like sometimes you be having to look at people
Like what? Like
not
I
too
remember
much,
I used to
not too
years
much on it.
ago when YouTube was really like getting popping and I had like my own little YouTube channel. I would hop on to other people that I follow. We would like they would do like a lot or lives before it was a thing. And so
Yeah.
the only way you could communicate with them was to like type stuff. And so like
Mm-hmm.
just even saying child, like that is so specific to southern, like this, I feel like the southern East Coast. I don't know. I know that people on the West do say, like I have a friend that says it too, but it's like I remember just being in those like, I guess what were they called back in the day? Like forums. I don't know.
Yeah. Like rooms or whatever. Yeah.
They would be like, because I would write it as Chile.
Delay.
And they would be like, why is she saying chili? What's that mean? And now I'll be like, oh, maybe I should write it as child. So you know I'm saying child, but they still don't get it.
No. Child is definitely like one of those things of I think that's southern. Like
Mm-hmm.
southern women when they're gossiping, like, child, let me tell you. Child, child. You know, it's like it's that thing you're it depends on your tone and your like how you say it. It's like, no, child, what
Mm-mm.
versus like child. You know, like depending on how it gets drawn out. But again, those are the things that are getting into the mainstream that can also be uncomfortable depending on what who says what to you. And like we can wrap it up in with this part of like people being too familiar, you
Like
know,
that's naturalization of Black gay culture. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the calling you of the girl, or all of a sudden they have a let's bring it back to Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. All of a sudden you have a black scent when you talk to me. Why you talk to me like that and you don't talk to nobody else like that? It's like I understand regular English, or all of a sudden I'm girl this and girl that. We not homegirls. Why are you doing it?
Mm-mm.
It's giving too much. It's too much. You
All
know,
right,
so
well,
again, I think all of these like little things they kind of play into having a psychologically safe environment at work. And so um did you have anything else to add?
no, girl, I was just about
Okay,
to
girl, let's
wrap it
get off
right
here.
on
Get off here before the girls start glitching. The Zoom girl starts glitching.
up.
Drop down in the comments below. Talk to us. Tell us all about psychological safety in your workplace, things you
How
think
y'all
people need
doing?
to do better, or
Y'all
things
doing
that
all
have been
right?
done well in your workplace. We would love to hear about it. In the meantime, you can follow us everywhere. All of our information is down in the description box.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.